Good afternoon. Welcome to our annual Veterans Day Assembly. Today is a very important day. We're here to honor the incredible bravery and dedication of the men and women who have served in the United States Armed Forces. Veterans Day is our chance to say thank you to the heroes who have protected our country and the freedoms we hold dear. To make sure we can show our proper respect and appreciation, the important messages and performances we have planned, I ask for your full attention and respectful behavior throughout the assembly. Please listen quietly, keep your hands to yourself, and applaud politely at the appropriate times. Let's show our guests and performers how mature our school community is. We have a wonderful program lined up. We are very proud to have performances by our talented middle school chorus and band, who will be sharing special musical tributes to honor our veterans. We're also extremely honored to have distinguished veterans join us today as our guest speakers. They're here to share their experiences and insights, offering us a powerful perspective on military service and the true meaning of sacrifice. Please join me in making this a respectful and memorable tribute to our veterans. We will go ahead and begin with the chorus. So I think I need you all to stand. We're doing the national anthem. Please remove your hats. Please remove your hats, gentlemen. Thank you.
For
for our chorus and band one more time. I'm going to welcome to the stage one of our 7th grade students, Amira Gabbard. She will be introducing our speakers today.
Big Spring Middle School is proud to welcome Colonel and Mrs. Hartunian as our 2025 Veterans Day speakers. Mrs. Hartunian is a veteran of the Army National Guard and served honorably as a combat medic and then as a military intelligence officer, Spanish linguist, before being discharged in 1999. She is also a proud Army mother, wife, daughter, and granddaughter. Colonel Hartunian is currently the director of the Basic Strategic Art Program at the U.S. Army War College at Carlisle Barracks. During his 32-year career, Colonel Hartunian served two tours of duty, one in Iraq for 15 months and another in Afghanistan for 12 months. In addition, he has served as the Director of Strategy, Plans, and Assessments for the U.S. Security Coordinator for Israel and Palestinian Authority at the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, and as the Assistant Chief of Staff for the 8th U.S. Army in the Republic of Korea. Colonel Hartunian also serves as the Assistant Scout Master of Troop 185 right here in Newville. And he told me to tell you that we want you for your local scouting troop.
Hello, and thank you for having me today. Those of you who are in my class obviously know I'm Mrs. Hartunian. For those of you who I've seen around school, I'll see you soon, maybe, 6th graders. I actually want to say thank you first and foremost for having me here today. I'm going to introduce my husband in just a second. When we first started talking about this, we were saying we were going to have this presentation, and I thought there is no way that I can talk about being a veteran or a military spouse for the amount of time. So I roped him into this and said, please come and tell us a little bit about what it's like to be a service member right now on your side. But before I do that and pass the mic over, I just wanted to, from my perspective, not just as a veteran, but as a mother and as a wife, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what it means for me to be able to see us all here today celebrating Veterans Day. So we all know that we hurried up and finished our whole school day today quickly so we could come in and we could sit here. And if I were to ask you, why are we here? Most of you probably could say, well, because we're going to honor those who served. We're here for Veterans Day. And I know that that's something that we say, but we don't oftentimes really think about what that means. And so I wanted to share a little bit about that from my perspective. As you can see, I've put together a slideshow, or a slide here with a bunch of pictures. I come from a long line of veterans, and all Army too, which is the way it shook out. But you can see from these pictures that not only did my mom and dad meet in the service in Germany years ago, but my grandma and my grandpa also served in the Korean War and met in Japan during that time. I have an uncle up here, a great uncle, who served during World War II. I have 3 brothers and a cousin up here who all have served or are serving in the U.S. military, in the Army. And then most importantly, in the middle you have my father-in-law is there, so my husband also has a background of being an Army guy. His dad served years ago as well. And then the most important are probably towards that left-hand side of the screen, and that is my husband in his dress uniform in Israel in the middle, and then my son, who just recently graduated from basic training in AIT and is a linguist in the Army and currently finishing his schooling in Texas. So obviously, and also I have a picture of me from just a couple of years ago from my basic training days. So for me, this is a big deal to know that we have a community that's willing to honor and say thank you to our veterans. How many, I see we have lots of men and women here today who have come to serve. Could you please stand for a moment if you have served in the U.S. Armed Forces? Big Spring Middle School, thank you very much for your service. Also, if you have, even if you didn't get a chance to bring a family member here today, if you have a family member, kids do, if you have a family member who has served in the U.S. Armed Forces, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, cousin, can you stand for just a second? Go ahead and applaud. Thank you. Sit down. Thank you. So when we say thank you for your service, this is why I volunteered to be up here today, because maybe many moons ago I may have been also wearing a uniform, but right now I'm where you guys are, right? My sons are, my husband and I have 3 children, they're where you are right now. We are the family members who also support the armed services so that our loved ones can do their job. So we want to just talk for a second about what it means to say thank you. So maybe you're a little bit like my sons and you know what it means to say thank you for your service, because maybe you've moved around a lot. Right? If you look around, many of you have been going to school with the same people for many years. You walk into a classroom at the beginning of the year, and you know the kids that you're walking in that classroom with. Military kids don't have that. A lot of active duty military kids are moving every couple of years, and it's really hard to make friends and to maintain those relationships. So maybe you know when you say thank you, you're saying thank you for that really mobile lifestyle that you have. Maybe you have, you don't have somebody in the immediate active service, but maybe you know what it's like not to have a cousin or an aunt or an uncle come home for an important holiday because they can't. They're on float, or they're deployed, or they're just somewhere where they can't make it home for the holidays. So thank you for lending us your loved ones, even on days that are important to you. We appreciate everything that you do in support of your family member. And maybe some of you even know what it's like to send someone that you love to danger, into a deployment, or to something that is not safe, and you know what it means when you have somebody in your life who is willing to take on that kind of responsibility. And they can only do that because they have a loving home who is supportive of them. So thank you very much to our community members who support their armed services members. So before I pass the mic real quick, I wanted to ask you, you don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to, but has anybody here ever thought about possibly serving in the military? What's really interesting to me, this is not always the case. I see you want to look around, there's a lot of you, right? What's sometimes the case, not always, but a lot of times, is that the people who are willing to serve are the people who've already had service in their families, and they know what it takes, and they know that this is something to be proud of. So this was the case for our son, Garrett. I asked him to wait and go to college first or do something else, do that first before he enlisted, but nope, he just really wanted to get out there and he wanted to be part of this legacy. It's not always the case. I didn't join the military, for example, because I had this exciting, feeling that I wanted to go out and do something really exciting. I needed to have an option for college. It was really hard for me when I graduated high school. My family was not in a position to send me to college. In fact, we were homeless for a while, and so I knew that if I wanted to change my trajectory, I needed to make some choices, some hard choices, and knowing that the men and women that I looked up to had done this in the past, that's what caused me, or what led me to enlist. But regardless of what your reason is for serving, I just want to leave you with this thought about saying thank you. When we say thank you for your service, we are saying thank you for taking on that kind of lifestyle. Thank you for all the hard work that you put in. Thank you for not just deciding that you were going to just do a regular job, for going that extra mile. Thank your family for all of the things that they've done. And most importantly, thank you, men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces, for serving, because we have a volunteer service, right? We've been in countries, South Korea and Israel, where when you turn a certain age, you have to serve for 2 or 3 years in the military. Think about that for a second. Think about if you were getting ready to graduate high school and know you didn't have a choice. You were going to be serving in the military. For some of you, it might be cool. For the rest of you, you might be like, oh my goodness. But because of our men and women in uniform who volunteered to do this, we have a choice. And that is something that we should be thankful for. So thank you to the men and women of that. But okay, do you know what the best part of being on this slide and being a veteran is? For me, and why we're all here, to say thank you to all of our veterans, I wanted to say thank you very publicly to my favorite veteran, because one of my favorite parts about being a veteran is serving with my heroes. So without further ado, I want to share with you, or I want to bring my husband, Colonel Eric Hartunian, up to the stage. Colonel Eric Hartunian is a former field artillery officer and received his commission through ROTC from New Mexico Military Institute in 1997. He served in many roles from battery to brigade level. After deploying to Iraq in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, he attended the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. He has served as the Chief of Plans for the 101st Airborne Division. He also deployed to Afghanistan as part of the Joint Task Force 101 as an instructor at the Command and General Staff College and as Chief Strategist at the National Counterterrorism Command. He was the Director of Safety Plans and Assessments for the U.S. Security Coordinator for Israel and the Palestinian Authority and the Assistant Chief of Staff for the 8th U.S. Army in the Republic of Korea. He also received his PhD as one of the first cohort of an advanced strategic planning and policy program and has received many awards and medals that we are all very proud of. So please join me in welcoming Colonel Eric Hartunian.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I'd like to thank the band and the chorus. The song the chorus sung was actually the song that they played every single day when I was in basic training many moons ago. So that brought back a lot of memories, so thank you. It's an honor to be here with you today. As Kyle said, I'm Colonel Eric Hartunian, and I serve in the Army just up the road at Carlisle Barracks, one of our oldest military posts in America. I'm deeply grateful to the teachers and your principal for inviting me to speak here to you today. And I really want to extend a special thanks and welcome to our veterans who are in the audience. I was only a few years older than some of you 8th graders when, as a 17-year-old, an Army recruiter called me and asked if I had plans for my future. And I'm sure there are many of you or some parents out there that have received similar phone calls long ago. And little did I know that phone call would be the beginning of 32 years of service in our Army. Service that's taken me to all corners of our nation, giving me educational opportunities that I would never have dreamt of, and allowed me to live in 2 different countries, as well as deploying to Iraq, Afghanistan, and then, of course, raising my family. Now, I know that when you hear Veterans Day, you probably think of people like me in uniform, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, people who served or are serving in our nation's military, and that's all true. But Veterans Day is a time to honor those who raise their right hand and swore an oath to protect and defend the United States of America. But today I want to talk to you about more than just uniforms and medals. I want to talk about service, patriotism, hard work, and what it means to be part of something bigger than yourself. Ideas that matter not only to veterans, but to every single one of you. So when someone joins the military, they make a decision to serve, to put others before themselves. That's what service really means, doing something for others. Even when it's hard, even when it costs you something. It's not about fame or recognition. It's about doing your part for your team, your community, and your country. But here's something important. You don't have to wear a uniform to serve. Service can mean helping a classmate who's having a difficult day. It can mean picking up trash at a park, or volunteering at a food drive, or standing up for someone who's being treated unfairly. One of the things I've learned in the Army is that small acts of service add up. A platoon is strong because every soldier does their part. A community is strong for the same reason, because people care enough to help one another. So when you think about Veterans Day, think about how you too can serve in your own way. Patriotism is another word that gets thrown around a lot today. Some people think it means waving a flag or wearing a t-shirt with a flag on it or singing the national anthem, and those are good things, but real patriotism runs deeper. Patriotism is loving your country enough to want to make it better. It means believing in the values that make America strong: freedom, equality, opportunities for all. It also means respecting people even when they're different than you, and listening to others even when you disagree. Because that's what our veterans have fought for. The right for all of us to have a voice, to live in peace, and to chase our dreams. You can show your patriotism by learning about your country, when you're older enough, voting, and by helping your community, and by living out the ideals that our flag stands for. So let's talk about hard work. In the Army, there's a saying, the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in battle. Now, I'm pretty sure that you may not be training for battle here at Vicksburg, but you are training for life, and that means preparation matters. In a military unit, every soldier, every unit, every mission depends on discipline and determination. Those lessons aren't just for soldiers, they're for everyone. So every time you study for a test or practice your instrument, run that extra lap at PE, or try again after failure, you're building the same kind of character that helps soldiers and all Americans succeed. Hard work is what turns goals into achievements, and it's what turns ordinary people into leaders. And here's the truth. Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes you'll feel like giving up. But remember this, every veteran you meet has faced moments like that too. What makes them heroes isn't that they never struggle, it's that they never quit. And finally, I want to talk about what I believe is what is the most important of all here, and that's being part of something bigger than yourself. When I first joined the Army, I thought I understood teamwork. I played sports, I worked on group projects, I did community service, but military service taught me what it truly means to depend on others and to have others depend on you. In the military, we learned that no mission succeeds because of one person. Success comes from people working together, each doing their part, trusting one another, and believing in a shared purpose. That same lesson applies here, in your school, in your families, and in your communities. When you decide to contribute to something bigger than yourself, your team, your town, or your country, you find meaning and purpose, and you discover that life isn't just about what you can get, but it's what you can give. So as we honor our veterans today, I hope you'll remember a few things. That service is about helping others, patriotism is about loving your country enough to make it better, hard work is what turns dreams into reality, and the greatest reward in life comes from being part of something bigger than yourself. Now you might be thinking, I'm just in middle school, what could I do? The truth is, you don't have to wear a uniform to serve. You can serve by being a good friend, by standing up for what's right, by working hard in school. You can serve by volunteering, by helping your family, and by respecting others. Every act of kindness, every effort to make your world better, that's service. To all the veterans here today, I thank you for your courage, your sacrifice, and your example. And to the students here, thank you for listening, and for being part of the future of the country that we love. You may not wear a uniform, but you too have the power to serve, to lead, and to make a difference. And one day, when people stand to honor the flags and hear the words, thank you for your service, I hope you'll remember that the spirit of Veterans Day isn't just about soldiers. It's about all Americans who choose to do their part for something greater than themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have a short video tribute recognizing some of our veterans that are here with us today and their family members. So we're going to watch that next. today.